Hey, what's up guys, Starry right here, and welcome back to another NFL video. Another slate of wildcard playoff games happened, and this time they were actually a lot of fun. I wasn't looking forward to these games, but they were actually a lot of fun. I will not lie. They were a lot closer than I think most people really expected. The Dolphins put up a fight. The Giants and Vikings game was very close, and the Ravens and Bengals game was also very close as well. Before we get into the video, make sure you like and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more NFL playoff recaps. So yeah, let's go ahead and just start off with the first game that happened on Sunday, and that was the Dolphins versus the Bills, and the Bills won that game 34-31. Now this game was pretty close, I will not lie. Skylar Thompson actually had a pretty decent game, and I think I'm gonna really spend the most of my time really talking about Skylar Thompson because I thought he played well. Now if you look at his stats, they're not good. I'm just like, we gotta be honest. If you just look at the stats, they're not good. 18 for 45, 220 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. That looks pretty bad, you know. But for like, that wasn't the case. Let's just be honest, that wasn't really the case, because they really had no rushing. They had no rushing game at all. They only had 42 yards rushing the whole entire game. Like, they had no rushing attack, so he was really forced to just pass the ball the whole entire game, and I thought he did a pretty decent job passing as well. Now 18 for 45 looks very awful, let's just be honest, but you know, he was making some plays. He was scrambling out of the pocket and making some plays. He had a few rushes as well. Like, he played pretty decent. It wasn't like, obviously it's not the best, like it wasn't able to win the game, but it was very close, man. It was really close, and I put that more on Buffalo. He's just making mistakes as well. Josh Allen didn't have a great game as well. You know, he had 2 interceptions, you know, so that kept the Dolphins in this game. So yeah, I thought Skylar Thompson had a pretty decent game for everything that he was tasked with, and you know, for being Skylar Thompson, someone who was picked very late in the draft, I thought he played pretty well for just the situation he's in. You know, Dolphins, Miami, they haven't had any playoff success in forever. And you know, this was supposed to be Tua's team. This was supposed to be the year, and you know, everything just goes wrong toward the end, and Tua's not even around anymore. And yeah, all that, you know, just to have all that pressure on him, I thought he did decent. Now, and you know, having no rushing game at all, yeah, it was very rough, and he was put in a poor situation, but he made the most of it, and you know, he put their team into positions to, you know, score field goals at least. But yeah, I mean, he had a passing touchdown. I think he did the most he could in this situation. You know, there was also times where, like, we haven't even talked about it, but Jalen Waddle was actually like MIA a lot of this game, where he he was just dropping balls. He wasn't being effective like he was at the beginning of the season. And Tyreek Hill had an okay game. For Tyreek Hill, he'll probably say he had a bad game, but yeah, Tyreek Hill didn't really do much as well. If you look at his stats, 7 receptions for 69 yards, like that wasn't, you know, that's not Tyreek Hill. He didn't have the explosive big play like we really expected. And like I said, Jalen Waddle was MIA. He had 3 receptions for 44 yards, and that's just not like anything we really saw from him this whole season. So yeah, it was kind of just a bad game for the Dolphins. They did put up 31 points, but you know, like I said, 2 special team plays, and then just field goals and 1 touchdown. That's kind of what happened for them to be in this game. Now we could go ahead and switch to the Bills, but like, I'm not really gonna be scared for the Bills. Like, this doesn't move me anyway. This was a divisional matchup, you know. They played 2 times in the regular season, so they know each other. They know what to expect from each other. So I'm not that surprised with how close this game was, in all honesty. Well, I was, but it also makes sense, you know. It makes sense that this would be close. They play each other, they know each other, they should know, like, they know what they're gonna do and everything. So it's a lot more familiarity with this matchup compared to like the Jaguars and the Chargers. That one, they only played once, and yeah, so I'm not gonna put that much stock into this game, you know, being something that makes me want to run away from the Bills being a Super Bowl favorite. I still think they're really good. Like, Josh Allen didn't have a great performance, I guess you can say, because he had 2 interceptions, but he also had 3 touchdowns. He was 23 for 39 with 352 yards. Like, he was still putting up his numbers, and he still looked amazing, and he was still just doing stuff that was just Josh Allen, just masterpiece, you know. So I'm not really scared for the Bills. It was a divisional matchup. They know each other. it happens, we got to move on to next week, and that's when we'll really figure out what the Bills are up on. Let's go ahead and talk about the other game that happened on Sunday, and that was the Giants versus the Vikings. Now, for me, there's only one person that I really want to talk about for this game, and that is Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones had an amazing performance, just a really standout performance, a really solidifying of performance. He played perfect football. He really played perfect football. He was 24 for 35 for 301 yards and 2 touchdowns. Daniel Jones really just stood out, this game. I knew the Giants were good. But to just see them really just do it in the postseason meant a lot to me. It really moved me a lot, and it made me, really consider the Giants to be that type of team. They really are overachieving, but it's the type of overachieving where it's are they really overachieving now, or is this who they are? Because we know the roster is kind of depleted, and it didn't stack up to the Vikings at all, but they get the most out of their players, and Daniel Jones makes plays happen. I didn't even talk about his rushing. He was 17 carries for 78 yards. He was rushing just as well. He had more rush yards than Saquon Barkley. He was that good, man. Daniel Jones was amazing, and the Giants just get the most out of the players. Shout out to Dabble for just really getting the most out of his players. I can't say that enough. This team is really just a team. This team is just a team. They play for each other. They get the most out of each other, and they just play really good football. Another person I want to shout out is Isaiah Hodgins. I said it in the predictions video that Daniel Jones gets these receivers for us to talk about. These are receivers that we would never really talk about if they were on any other team, but Daniel Jones makes them good, and they make him good as well. Shout out to Isaiah Hodgins, who had an amazing game today. 8 receptions for 105 yards, and he averaged 13 yards per catch. So yeah, he was going crazy today. Isaiah Hodgins really stepped up huge. Darius Slayton as well. He had, oh my god, he almost had the game winning catch. He almost had it, but he muffed it. I felt so bad for him because we know Darius Slayton. But yeah, man, that was really sad to see. But luckily they won, so it didn't really matter. It was a breath of fresh air for him. And let's also give a shout out to Saquon Barkley, who just proved that he is back, man. He rushes with force. He had 2 touchdowns today, 9 carries for 53 yards, and he averaged 5.9 yards per carry. Saquon Barkley is back. It wasn't a heavy rushing game for him, or just for the Giants as well. But he was really good. He's also got a few catches as receiving. He had 5 receptions for 56 yards, averaged 11 yards. So Saquon Barkley is back, and he is him, and he's still making plays, and it's just so great to see the Giants just playing really good football, and I'm really happy that they won this game. I did pick the Vikings, but I really had no favor in this one. I didn't care who won really, but I'm really happy to see the Giants win after just being the underdogs, I guess. And we can go ahead and switch and talk about the Vikings, who played a pretty good game as well. I thought Kirk Cousins played pretty decent. He was 31 for 39. It can't get really any much better than that. 273 yards and 2 touchdowns. And yeah, I think the standout person for them in this game was TJ Hawkinson. 100% TJ Hawkinson was just a superstar this game. If you had no idea who TJ Hawkinson was, you would think he is the number 1 option. He had 10 receptions, 129 yards, and he averaged 12 yards per reception. It was crazy, man. It was really crazy to see TJ Hawkinson just being the number 1 options, besides Jettas. Jettas had 7 receptions for 47 yards. Not obviously not that effective. TJ Hawkinson basically became the new Adam Thielen for Kirk Cousins, 100%. So yeah, offensively they were pretty good. I think what really sold them is their defense. We know that their defense is bad. Let's just be honest, their defense is bad, and I think that's what really sold them and kept the Giants to be really good. There was a lot of times where receivers were just wide open, but I still give credit to the Giants 100%. They took advantage of everything, and yeah, just Daniel Jones looked really good. Kirk Cousins looked good as well. The Vikings looked pretty decent offensively. I didn't really see anything to really make me mad, I guess. Just the last play where it was like they needed to get a first down and Kirk Cousins just kind of checks it. That was very, very confusing. I don't know what they were doing there. Obviously there's some mishaps and everything, but that just kind of happens with the game. It was a really, really fun game between two teams who just played each other about like 3 weeks ago. They knew each other as well, and it was a lot of fun. Shout out to the Giants, who just, I don't want to say stole this game away, because it wasn't. I think a lot of people were actually picking the Giants to win this game, so it wasn't really, it wasn't like they stole this game at all. But they just came in with so much more energy, and we're just so more efficient just as a whole team. So yeah, it was a lot of fun to see. Shout out to the Giants. Now we could switch to the last game, the Baltimore Ravens versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Now this game was also very close, but it makes sense when you think about it, because they are divisional rivals. They know each other, they dislike each other, they played each other in the regular season twice. They know each other, that's to be expected. And yeah, it was a pretty close game, if we're just being honest. It was a lot more closer than I thought it was going to be. I think Tyler Huntley played an amazing, maybe not an amazing game, but he played an amazing game for what he has been doing this season. He hasn't been really effective at all, but he played a pretty decent football today. Rushing wise, he was really, really good. 9 carries for 54 yards. He was really good. Passing was, a little bit more iffy. He could be a little bit more to be to the desired. 17 for 29 for 226, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. Obviously he had that huge fumble at the end of the game that really switched everything. But yeah, I thought Tyler Huntley could have played a little bit more better. I think I don't know, maybe a little bit better. I think I'm just thinking that because of that huge fumble at the end, where it just kind of just summarized everything, where after that they didn't really look that good. They almost had a chance to win this game, and I put that on John Harbaugh, who never called a timeout. That was just awful. Time management was just gone. I don't know why he did that. I feel like they should have called a timeout to get a better play, but they let so much time run down and they didn't even get a good play. Yeah, it was just kind of awful. And yeah, I think I'm just letting the final plays of that really affect the way I view Tyler Huntley's game. Like, if you look at the stats and everything, and even during the game, he played pretty good for Tyler Huntley's standard. I think I just have a sour taste, just the way the game ended, especially when he had that fumble. I don't know why he jumped. I really don't know why he jumped. The only thing I can think of is that he thought that they were all just going to tackle, they were all just going to tackle, and he could probably sneak over and get it, but that didn't happen at all. That really just left a sour taste in my mouth for Tyler Huntley, but overall, he did play good. I'll just say he played good. Mark Andrews came up huge in this game, obviously making big plays when he really needed it to. And yeah, Mark Andrews almost had that chase down block after that fumble. But yeah, overall, the game was kind of okay. This game I wasn't very, very excited with until kind of that fumble. Until that moment, this game didn't really feel like a playoff football game. I don't know if it's just because they're divisional rivals, and I feel like I've seen this matchup so many times. I don't know, something about this game didn't have that feel. Maybe also because Lamar Jackson didn't play and it was Tyler Huntley. I don't know, something about this game just didn't have that big playoff energy feel until that fumble. And then after that fumble, it got a little bit more exciting because it got closer. And yeah, I thought the Bengals played really good. Joe Burrow was just classic Joe Burrow, just really kind of steady. You know what you're gonna get with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. They all played really well. And yeah, the Bengals really kind of just felt like they have been this whole season, just like the regular season. It felt like they just kind of didn't even, it felt like they didn't even have to switch a gear for playoff time. It just kind of felt like they were the regular same old Bengals, and I think maybe that's also why I was kind of feeling a little meh about this game, because they didn't amp it up any bit, to me at least. It just kind of felt like they were playing just the standard, the Bengals standard of just playing really good football, and maybe that's why I kind of felt just kind of meh about this game. But yeah, I don't really have any hot takes about this game. Tyler Huntley was playing, so yeah, that's also killed the vibe for this game. It came down to the wire though. The Ravens Vikings really did have a chance to win it, but to send it into overtime. I kind of wish it did go into overtime because I would have liked to see the new overtime rules. We still haven't seen that. But yeah, I don't really have any like hot takes about this. It's a divisional matchup. They know each other. It's gonna be exciting to see though, the Bengals and the Bills. That's gonna be a lot of fun to see. Anyways, that's gonna be it for the video. Make sure you like and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more NFL content, and also leave a comment and tell me how you feel about these playoff games so far, and tell me how your playoff bracket is looking. Thanks for watching, y'all. I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.